Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Monday evening. Hope everybody got a great start to their week. Off and rolling. Hope we can keep that thing going for you tonight. A little bit of good news coming off a situation that seemed like it might be slightly more dire. That of rookie wide receiver, Treylon Burks, and the status of his foot injury that he suffered against the Indianapolis Colts in yesterday's game. We've got information for you on that, and we'll talk about the positions of need as they continue to have to shuffle the deck as far as depth charts are concerned. We will go through where their deepest position is as we sit here right now and where they are kind of paper thin. It's a couple of different places. Spoiler alert. We'll also talk about which mascot in the NFL has the most punchable face, because why not? We got a lot of ground to cover and not a lot of time to do it. So we need you guys to help us get going and to share this show. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet the show. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen is how you do it. If you are on Facebook Live like Omar Walton or Randy Himberg, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. In fact, I'll do that myself from my Facebook account. If you are on YouTube or Twitch, like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. That would be greatly appreciated. That way you can get all of A to Z Sports live stream coverage whenever it is that we pop on. And once you've done that, more of you guys will start to filter in. We'll get you through halftime of the Monday Night Football game between the Rams and the 49ers, and we'll have a good conversation while we do so. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Monday night from the Superbook Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the fine folks, the lovely folks at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Gary Ashton. Gary's in Prague watching the Preds, who played a game today. The Ashton team, though, remains stateside and is here to provide you with the intel edge you need to succeed. Go to GaryAshton.com. Superbook Sports, where you can wager on preseason hockey like the Preds, Monday Night Football, like what's happening tonight, or every other major sport. They'll match your first bet up to $1,000 in the Superbook Sports app. TrueMav Fitness, a new way to work out. They will get you going. TrueMav Fitness, located conveniently in downtown Nashville, in the Gulch. Your first class as a Middle Tennessee resident is for free. And Two Rivers Ford, the best car buying experience around, with great locked-in interest rates and bonus cash. I'll tell you more about those things later on in the show. So today we had a little bit of we didn't have much of an update from Mike Vrabel, but literally as Vrabel's press conference was concluding, there was a tweet from Ian Rappaport about the status of Treylon Burks. Now, if you'll remember, the Treylon Burks situation was that of his injury. He suffered an injury in the fourth quarter, at the start of the fourth quarter. And in that situation, Treylon Burks was kind of in a bad spot. In fact, I'm texting producer Reed a video right now that I should have thought of earlier on to kind of explain the situation that happened to Treylon Burks. So Treylon Burks suffers an injury on a play, stays in the football game, and then gets injured badly enough that he has to be carted off on the very next play. And so the fear initially was that he got his ankle rolled up on in a way that may cost him a significant amount of time. He was ruled out with a foot injury as opposed to an ankle injury. And then the update from Rappaport today was this. At Rap Sheet on Twitter, first-round wide receiver Treylon Burks, who left yesterday's game with a foot injury, has been diagnosed with turf toe, sources tell Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. No surgery is necessary, just rehab, but Burks will miss some time. Rappaport adds, with the likelihood of missing multiple weeks, Treylon Burks could land on injured reserve to allow him to fully heal, but no surgery means he should be back this season. So that's about as positive of an update as you could hope for as to the situation for Treylon Burks. Now, there's a couple of different things. About this. One, turf toe is not ideal, but it's the best possible result out of all of these things. Two, I think that for the Titans offense, it is a loss, certainly, But I think that there is enough that they have, because the injuries really haven't been on the offensive side of the football. Yes, Lawan has been lost for the season, but not in a spot where they can't kind of put some pieces and parts together. But we'll talk about whether you think their wide receiver core is deep enough later on. So in this circumstance, Treylon Burks is going to have the ability to return this season, but is likely going to see an IR stint in his future. Can't wait to field all of your IR questions about that. So I guess we should start with your Two Rivers Ford take. What position do the Titans seem to have the least amount of depth at right now? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. It's your Two Rivers Ford take here on a Monday night. Which position do the Titans appear to have the least amount of depth at? Larry Ford says Lawan is done, in my opinion. Well, yeah, that's all well and good. Respectfully, I don't really care about Taylor's future career decisions right now. We're talking about players on the team who are going to continue to play this season, and Taylor's not one of them, unfortunately for him, and for really, frankly, for the Titans. They will suffer his loss. But yeah, it's probably, it doesn't matter at this point. Although I know Taylor's got a new podcast coming out where his injury is going to be discussed. I'm sure many of you, including John Robinson, can't wait for that to be disclosed. Offensive line is what John Spain-Howard thinks. Defensive line is what Omar Walton submits. Wide receiver and or edge, says David Allen, which both suffered injuries yesterday. What position do the Titans seem to have the least amount of depth at? I'll tell you my position on it right after I remind you that the Two Rivers Ford take is presented by Two Rivers Ford, where you go for the best possible car buying experience with a non-commissioned sales staff that is going to go above and beyond to make sure that you enjoy the car buying purchase at Two Rivers Ford. They are making sure that you have great offers, guarantees, like great prices and a locked-in interest rate when you custom order a 2023 model year Ford. Right now, when you custom order an F-150, Explorer, Ranger, Edge, Bronco Sport, Escape, or Mustang, they'll guarantee 2.9% APR for 60 months for all qualified buyers. So you order your vehicle now and lock in a great rate for whenever it is that you start paying. That's the kind of peace of mind that Two Rivers Ford offers, in addition to $500 bonus cash on top of their already low prices. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. So I want you to hear, before we talk about the position group that is lacking the most depth, I think that for the Titans, it is important to hear Mike Vrabel talk through the Treylon Burks situation yesterday afternoon in Indy.
Players outside of 2 minute that if you can't play the next play to take a knee, that's a safety thing, so that they are taking a knee and they stop the play, and then we can get first of all we can look at you, and we can give you medical attention, and then we can get a sub in. He was in the huddle. Cody ran out there, and we just felt like, I felt like that we needed to get Cody back out so they didn't stand over the ball. They forced us to burn a timeout or a 5-yard penalty, delay a game, substitution. So outside of 2 minutes, we're asking guys that if they can't play the next play physically is to take a knee. And I know that guys don't like to do that. This is not anything to do with their courage or their toughness, but it's about being able to operate and get the next guy in there and make sure that we're doing everything we can do to look at your health.
So that's Mike Vrabel talking about what they are coached to do outside of 2-minute situations. Treylon Burks suffering a turf toe injury that caused him to be carted off yesterday. Andrew Baggio, forgive me, Andrew, if I've botched your last name. LOL, this point of view is too much. Yeah, it's a terrible vantage point, because I'm in Indy, the first row of they've got his podium on a stage, so he's already way too high based on where we sit. And so they have the seats way too close to the already way too high podium. So I'm basically looking up in my chair at Mike Vrabel. Fortunately for him, he's not he's not overweight or anything like that, because it would be a horrendous angle if you were somebody who was struggling with the optics of potentially double chin. I would not like that angle as somebody who has suffered from those kind of things before. Welcome to the media podium after game, says Derek Othello. Well, welcome to the opposing, the visiting interview room is always a bit of a shit show. So I think that yeah, the Indy one is particularly bad because we're literally just sitting there staring up at Mike from a terrible angle while we try to get these videos. The point of view is not ideal, but neither is the situation for Treylon Burks, but it's as good as you could possibly hope. Now, as to the depth of the situation, which position are they least deep at? We got to look through the amount of players that are already on IR. I think the count is still at 10, including Lawan, since they have come through this game. Bud Dupree not on IR, Treylon Burks not on IR, but Bud did suffer an injury. Now, they have done well to fortify their depth a little bit here in the last couple of weeks. Mario Edwards, who was signed to the active roster on earlier this week, was playing in that game once Dupree went down. The situation for the corners is pretty tough right now because Caleb Farley is a non-factor at this point. So I would probably say their cornerback group is not terribly deep because beyond McCreary and Fulton, without Molden, the options are not great. Christopher White says all Dupree does is suffer injuries. Yes, producer Reed, to that effect, put together an injury update, courtesy of Mike Vrabel. It is about what you would expect, but I'll let you hear from the head coach right after I remind you that Superbook Sports is where you go to wager this football season. They can help you get in on all the action in the Superbook Sports app. That's where you go to take the fight to Vegas and to try and beat the best odds makers on the strip. No people from across the pond setting lines for American sports, just the best odds makers in Las Vegas going head-to-head with you. You can place your bet. They will match it, your first bet, up to $1,000, whether the bet wins or loses. Superbook.com is where you go. So let's hear from Mike Vrabel about all the other injuries that the Titans currently suffered as of this morning against the Indianapolis Colts.
Any idea how long you'll be without Treylon, and do you have the bodies on the roster to replace him?
We do. I don't know how long he'll be out. We'll continue to evaluate him this week and see where he's at.
You expecting Rice to practice this week? Or
Did
Monty
you say
Rice?
Monty Rice?
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully we can see Monty and he can begin his window and start practicing. So he's been working hard, and Todd and Frank and their staffs have been working hard with him to get back.
Elijah and Racy have a chance to come off IR at this point now. I think it's been 4 weeks.
They would have a chance. I don't expect them out there this week.
And Hooker still protocol for Hooker?
Yeah, still working his way through, and we'll keep you updated there.
Efficient is how I would describe Mike. He went through 6 players in a matter of 49 seconds, and that's producer Reed editing all that together for a total of 40 seconds. So I think that's anytime you ask Mike about injuries. He did not say anything about Dupree though, which is kind of an interesting spot. But either way, the injury situation for the Titans is not ideal right now. The thinnest position I feel is the secondary. Curious to know how you feel about it. Let's see. So Stacy Wills says, Buck, how long is Burks going to be out? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. I think that I do think that he'll be placed on injured reserve, which would mean that he would miss, I think, the Chiefs game, because he has to miss 4 games, not 4 weeks. So even if they put him on IR before the bye, the bye would not count towards his 4 games time served. It has to include 4 games specifically. So he would miss every game between now and the Kansas City Chiefs, which includes the Washington football team, the Colts, the Texans, and the Chiefs. In that order would be the circumstance for Treylon Burks. So we'll see if they end up placing him on IR. I think it is more likely than not, but I don't know, I don't know the severity of the turf toe. I don't know whether it's grade 2, 3, whatever the case may be. At this juncture, all I know is that turf toe is something that can continue to get them going. Now, as far as what they replace him with, the wide receivers, Josh Gordon, I mean, I guess he's going to be on the active roster at some point. Corey Carruthers says, where's Phillips? Phillips played on Sunday. I have the snap counts here. As a matter of fact, I can tell you whether he was even targeted in this game, though. I do know I saw him out there for at least 2 or 3 snaps, but I can give you the specific numbers momentarily if you would give me just a moment. Kyle Phillips, by the way, is still not completely healthy. He's out there, but not completely healthy. But if you are out there, the expectation is for you to perform. And that is something that he would have to deliver upon should they have thrown the ball his way. I don't believe he had a target in this game, though. I do not see that he had a target in this game. I'm still looking for his snap counts right now. As far as the rest of the wide receiver core goes, Cody Hollister is a better player at this point in his career than Josh Gordon is. I know a lot of you probably think that's blasphemous, but that is indeed the case. Phillips was targeted once for an incompletion, says Dion Bonner. That I can confirm that. And to the effect of the situation for Kyle Phillips as far as his playing time goes, he was in the game for a decent amount. He didn't play a ton of snaps, but he was in the game for a decent amount of snaps to kind of give the Titans a little bit, if nothing else, the threat of him being out on the football field, which is really all that I guess you could ask for at this point. Now, Teron Davenport has the snap counts according to Next Gen Sports. I know there can sometimes be a disparity, but according to Next Gen, he played only 2 offensive snaps and no special teams. So 2 offensive snaps. The player who played the most offensive snaps, obviously Ryan Tannehill, played 52% of the offensive snaps, which is all of the snaps that were had in this game. You had Robert Woods and Jeff Swaim leading the skill position players with 39 apiece. So 2 snaps for Kyle Phillips as he works through this shoulder injury at this point. Now, with all that being said, I think that they can, there's still a role for him. I think Ryan Tannehill still likes him. McMath is not going to be available. Christopher Isoji White. In fact, because Christopher says maybe McMath can come back in a week or 2. Again, I'll run this injury update for you because he did talk about McMath, and it doesn't seem like McMath is a week or 2 away.
Any idea how long you'll be without Treylon, and do you have the bodies on the roster to replace him?
We do. I don't know how long he'll be out. We'll continue to evaluate him this week and see where he's at.
You expecting Rice to practice this week? Or?
Did
Monty
you say
Rice?
Monty Rice?
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully we can see Monty, and he can begin his window and start practicing. So he's been working hard, and Todd and Frank and their staffs have been, working hard with him to get back.
Elijah and Racy have a chance to come off IR at this point now? I think it's been 4 weeks.
They would have a chance. I don't expect them out there this week.
And Hooker still protocol for Hooker?
Yeah, still working his way through, and we'll keep you updated there.
All right, so no McMath, no Molden for the time being. I saw somebody bring up the idea of Odell Beckham Jr. This team's not signing Odell Beckham Jr. As of right now, they're not signing Odell Beckham Jr. I don't think Odell Beckham Jr. wants to play in Tennessee. I think he's going to be cleared in next month, it sounds like, and it's based on what the conversations have been around Odell Beckham Jr. When you talk to people in the league about it, it's between the Rams and the Bills, which are 2 pretty good ones, the defending Super Bowl champion and the Super Bowl favorites in the 2022 season. OBJ is not going to be a Titan as we sit here today. I do not expect them to have any legitimate interest in him because if you sign him and he's cleared in November, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be good and ready to go in November. It's not a plug and play type situation. And like John Spain Howard says, it's not like the Titans are throwing the ball to wide receivers that often. That's correct. Their first wide receiver touchdown pass came 4 weeks into the season to Robert Woods. I do think Ryan Tannehill could have hit Treylon Burks on a deep bomb in that game as well. But Tannehill was hit as he threw. Did not seem like he was able to make an accurate pass on that play. Lamonta says that Josh Gordon is on the roster, right? No, he's on the practice squad, and he's not very good. So, yeah, you need to let go and let God the idea of Josh Gordon being any kind of a real player for you in 2022. I think the it doesn't matter how many times I say that to you guys, and that's fine. Like, I understand if you're curious about it, continue to ask about it. It's my job to provide you an update for it, so it doesn't matter how many times I repeat myself in saying Josh Gordon is not. Cody Hollister is better than Josh Gordon at this point, and that is why he remains on the practice squad. He was not even called up from the practice squad to the active roster on Sunday. It is not a situation where Josh Gordon can really, really give you anything. So why is Josh Gordon on the team if you're not going to use him? Well, for the same reason that Golden Tate was on the roster, because they're out of bodies and he physically plays wide receiver or has played wide receiver at some point in his career. It's not like use him to do what? Like, what is he going to do? He played in 12 games for the Chiefs last year and he was respectfully not good. This is not an attack on Josh Gordon and his ability to continue to keep his NFL career alive. I think that's good by Josh Gordon, and it seems like he's been in the right mindset and frame to continue to have an NFL career, which is all that he's. I mean, I'm sure he's looking to play and looking to contribute more, and he would have a decent chance to contribute here because their wide receiver depth is, frankly, shit. So yeah, his best opportunity was here. He had the opportunity to stay on the Chiefs practice squad. And they said, even as they completely redid their wide receiver core this year, that, it was either practice squad or, we're good. And he said, no, I'll go take an opportunity with the Titans where he remains on the practice squad because he's not a good player at this point. You're just mad at your costs. I don't think that's one talking to me. I always get confused when you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Anyway, but it's always funny to see one or two of those out of context. Let's talk about the best position on the depth chart right now, as it looks like they may be getting some reinforcements. Let's talk about that together right after. So what is the deepest position on the depth chart or on the roster at this point for the Titans? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. While you do that, I will remind you that TrueMath Fitness is the best place for you to start your fitness journey. 45-minute classes in the boot camp style. No class ever recycled or repeated for any level of fitness. And that's the key part. For any level of fitness, because it can be intimidating sometimes. I know, as somebody who has done a couple of these now, and certainly was in horrendous shape when I started trying to get back into better shape. And I was kind of nervous to go back and to get into a group setting like that and to participate in what appeared to me to be high intensity workouts. It's not the case because they're going to make sure that you're comfortable with what you're being asked to do. And if you're not necessarily a group workout person, the beauty of TrueMath Fitness is that they offer personal training. They offer those group classes, and they also have an open gym concept that can allow you to work out on your terms. TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free, and you can find out more about their membership offerings at TrueMathFitness.com as well. So, looking at the situation for the depth charts, the running back position, I think, is probably the deepest on the roster. Leonard Thompson says, talk about how you picked the Colts to win the division. Well, that, of course, is inherently false because I've never made a division pick in my life. I don't make Super Bowl picks. I don't make game picks for exactly that reason, because nobody knows what the hell is going to happen. I did say that I felt better about the Colts in the division this year than the Titans. So if you would like to attribute wrong statements to me, you may attribute that wrong statement to me. But, I don't do picks because I think picks are stupid. I think game score predictions are stupid. I think it's the biggest waste of time of anything that we do because, again, you have no idea that the highest paid offensive line in all of football, that being the Indianapolis Colts, is going to be shit in 2022 and is going to make Matt Ryan look like a scared old man behind him. On that point, absolutely incorrect. But your initial assumption about my incorrect statements was wrong. So you got to get your facts straight. Looking at, though, the running back position is the deepest, right? Hassan Haskins, I think the Titans have a kick returner that can legitimately make an impact. I think they have a contingency plan for Derrick Henry in the future whenever that comes about. Doesn't look like it's going to be soon. Derrick played really, really well, I think, in the last 2 weeks as he starts to kind of get back up to speed with things. And, beyond that, it was probably edge, but obviously the loss of Harold and Bud Dupree's unavailability so far through the first month has not lent itself to that being a great group. We thought the corners might have been a deep group, but that was before we realized that Caleb Farley was not a good corner at this stage in his career. We'll see how that continues to develop, to grow and develop. But I think that with all these different things, the running back position is probably the best spot to start. So looking at, though, the inside linebacker depth is something that looked like it might be a positive heading into this year when Monty Rice was healthy. Zach Cunningham hasn't been great, but he's a good NFL player. He's an okay NFL player. He's an NFL starter, I think, is probably the best way to put it. I don't think he's necessarily, I don't think there's anything about Zach Cunningham that's above average outside of anything else you could get from an inside linebacker X, Y, and Z. It's why, you haven't really missed his absence. And Dylan Cole looked pretty good on Sunday against Indy. But Mike Vrabel talked about the inside linebacking depth right now. And if Monty Rice is to return, you would certainly feel better about that position.
What did you like about what you saw from the inside linebackers yesterday?
Really, really good against the run. I thought that group that was in there, David and Dylan, and then Joe had a few snaps in there as well. That this is a good running football team. It's a very good back that we played. That was pretty much the difference in the game, being able to stop the run the way that we did. Guys were playing physical. Guys were playing instinctive, and they did a nice job.
Very expansive from Mike Vrabel there. Danny Sutherland has got to be the defensive line. No, I mean, defensive line's not bad. Autry, Simmons, Tart. I think Kevin Strong has given them some decent snaps in the last couple of weeks. Deshaun Hand looked like he was going to be a good player, but I think he was lost after the first game of the year with a biceps injury, so that was made thinner. I didn't really see a lot of DeMarcus Walker in this game, which I would have thought that it would have presented an opportunity for them to see how this would go. But I think that the defensive line is not bad, but I don't necessarily think it's their deepest position. Christopher says Cunningham is good. Why would we cut him? Well, he's not. I think, like I said, I don't think that he's great. I mean, he's fine. I think you can find another Zach Cunningham for a lot less money. I'm not advocating that you cut him. Perhaps you're responding to somebody else, Christopher. So forgive me if I missed that comment. But yeah, if they cut Zach Cunningham at the end of the year, I'd be totally fine with that. He's not like he doesn't play third downs. He can't cover. And if he's missing tackles and also can't cover because he was missing tackles when he was available the last time we saw him, then yeah, I'm probably good on the Zach Cunningham experience. I'm probably good on the David Long experience too, even as I like David Long and I think David's a good player. You can find inside linebackers, on day 2 and day 3 of the NFL draft with relative ease. It's not a premium position, certainly not one that you want to give big money contracts to. JoJo says cut Cunningham to sign Will Compton. No, I do not want to. One, I don't want to have to deal with Will for a full. I don't want to have to work with Will for a full NFL season. That sounds exhausting. And two, I think I'm pretty sure he was driving to Atlanta today to go work out for the Falcons. So maybe he joins the winning franchise 2-2. The winning franchise 2-2, the Atlanta Falcons, who are also winners of 2 straight games. Leonard Thompson says you're tweaking. David Long is him. Listen, I think David Long is a good player. I really do. I think he's a much better player than Cunningham. But you guys said the same thing to me about Jayon Brown, and look how easily you replaced Jayon Brown. There was a time when you thought Rashaan Evans was a really good player. There was a time when I thought Rashaan Evans was going to be a good player too, and then it just really never materialized. So I think that I think that I understand, and David Long has been great to his credit he's either a 5th round or a 6th round pick if I remember correctly. So, listen, I'm not saying that David doesn't deserve a second contract elsewhere. I'm just saying that of all the areas where I think John Robinson is fair to criticize, I think he does pretty well at finding inside linebacker talent because it's not you don't like how many inside linebackers, like starting inside linebackers, could you name that are high level, MVP, all pro players? There's no Ray Lewis's, there's no Luke Kuechly's, there's not these kind of guys anymore. So I think maybe David Long ends up staying here on an affordable contract. The Amani Hooker contract was infinitely affordable. I don't know what David Long's negotiating position is going to be. So I think that you look at this and you say, if he ends up back on the team, great, as long as it's at the right price. If he doesn't end up back on the team, you feel pretty confident about the idea that you can find another inside linebacker somewhere. I mean, look at Joe Schobert. Joe Schobert made a play, helped force a fumble in his first game, and he wasn't even in a training camp. That's kind of how these things go right now. Easy17 does name one inside linebacker. Is Fred Warner technically an inside linebacker, or is he like Shaq Leonard? Fred Warner's an inside linebacker, but he is one that definitely comes to mind. But I mean, beyond that, Patrick Queen's Patrick Queen was a first-round draft pick for the Ravens, but he's not like good. Devin White is a good inside linebacker. Levante David kind of plays in a couple of different spots, so maybe I'm being too specific. Bobby Wagner is not good at this stage in his career, but Bobby Wagner was one of those names, certainly at the peak of his powers in Seattle. But Bobby Wagner has not been that right now. Von Miller is not an inside linebacker. He is an edge rusher. He's basically a defensive end. So I think that's just a misunderstanding of what the positions are. Anyway, so let's move on and let's talk about which mascot in the NFL has the most punchable face. That sounds fun, doesn't it? Now T-Rack is up there, not because I think he has a punchable face, but because I think, he's the Titans mascot, so I chose him as the graphic example. But which NFL mascot does have the most punchable face? Because there's some shade being thrown by the Titans social media accounts towards the Colts mascot, who I'm sure many of you would probably nominate. We can talk about this together right after I tell you about our friends at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. They are the place you go for your dream address without the stress. Gary Ashton is the best in the business because he has that intel edge that you need to succeed. The intel allows you to sell your home without any showings or staging. That intel helps you find your next home while you sell your current one in this red-hot Nashville real estate market, and it helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else looking for the same information and getting the same information on the same properties, not at GaryAshton.com. You're going to get that intel edge you need to succeed with the finest real estate group in Middle Tennessee and the top RE/MAX team in the entire world. The Gary Ashton Group of RE/MAX Advantage, GaryAshton.com for more information. So, which NFL mascot has the most punchable face? I had to think about this. T-Rack is T-Rack. I don't know that punchable is the word for T-Rack. Me and T-Rack we have a professional working relationship. I've told you guys before that every once in a while at the practice facility, I'll be walking from the media room down to the practice field, and I've got my cup of coffee in my hand. I'm starting my work day. I pass T-Rack. He's got his coffee. He's on his way into work as well. It's kind of like one of those Sports Center commercials where you're just kind of T-Rack's getting ready to go to the copy room to make print out depth charts or something like that. I don't know. The Cowboys mascot. Do the Cowboys have I can't think of the Cowboys mascot. I'm going to have to Google this. We'll do this in real time. I don't know that it's terribly good broadcasting etiquette, but I can't think of what the Cowboys mascot looks like. Is it just okay? Yeah, the Cowboys mascot is punchable. I would agree with that assessment. The Cowboys mascot is creepy looking. His name is Rowdy. I'm looking at the Library of Congress write-up. I don't know why Rowdy made the Library of Congress write-up. Has been the official mascot of the Dallas Cowboys since 1996. The ever-smiling Buckaroo. Yeah, he's for sure punchable. I don't like the way that the Cowboys mascot looks. Most of these guys or creatures do have punchable faces. I would agree with that. But the Colts mascot was throwing shade at Titans fans prior to the game taking place. So Ben Jones, the Titans center, decided, not today.
Real.
It's pretty good. I want you to watch that again because the Colts, I can't remember the name of the Colts mascot, but the Colts mascot is out here pieing Titans fans in the face for the purposes of entertainment. And they did a TikTok on the Titans Twitter account or on the Titans TikTok account with Ben Jones, who famously pies people in the face on their birthday, hitting the Colts with one himself.
Real.
Pretty good. I want to know which intern had to volunteer to hold the camera phone while Ben Jones throws a pie at it. I think that's pretty funny. But yeah, I would say that now knowing what the Cowboys mascot looks like, Pat Patriot is probably up there too. I think there's most of the mascots. I think all the mascots probably have punchable face. I think that's what they're designed to look like. And that's fine because mascots have a job to do and certainly they do it. That's going to do it for us tonight on Facebook or on A to Z Sports Prime Time. We appreciate you guys spending your time here with us each and every Sunday through Thursday night. Radio show tomorrow. Mike Felder from Stadium going to talk a lot about the college football weekend and get you ready for the Vols heading down to LSU for a big SEC game. I think that you're going to enjoy the conversation. Felder is always really, really good when it comes to the X's and O's, and certainly we will have some more updates for you. Actually, I want you guys. So I've been thinking about this every week on the radio show. We have a Titans player that joins the show on Thursdays. So I've talked to we've had almost every player on the show, or at least we've had almost every starter on the show through training camp and now through the first month of the season. So I'd be curious to know. Last week was Rashad Weaver for reference. So if you guys have suggestions that you want to send for the players that you would like for us to have on the radio show, DM those to me on Instagram, and certainly I'll take that over to the PR staff, and I'll see which players would like to do the radio show on Thursday this week, and we'll try to get to as many of those suggestions as possible. If you have questions also that you would like to ask, or you'd like me to ask that particular player, since we get to talk to him that kind of regularly, and the interviews are for you, they're not for me, I'm just the one doing the interview, that would be fine too. Royale Wright says Stonehouse. I had Stonehouse 2 weeks ago. Stonehouse pretty good, actually. I enjoyed talking to Ryan, so you can go back and check that out in the podcast feed. So we will Demetrius says Big Weaver did Weaver last week, like I said, so thank you guys for listening as always. Talk to you guys tomorrow on the radio show at 10 a.m. If not, we will do it again on primetime tomorrow night.
There's Matt. All right, we haven't scored a point since I came in here. I am gone, guys.
What?
That's it?
We got a couple more questions.
No, that's it.
Peace out by the GM.